Okay, well, welcome, and I hope you're well. Now that part one has been submitted, um, it's given us a very good understanding of the kind of assessments that you guys are having in this module. And this module is quite different to the others, you might have noticed. So the application and a little bit of creativity is involved. So I hope it went well for you. Just to let you know, we haven't started marking yet. We had some marking calls today, just between all the lecturers, just both face-to-face and online, and it gives us a good start from which to work. So we make sure that we all in sync and we all do the same thing. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to cover our Learning Unit 5, which is Chapter 6, and it is our pricing decisions. And this is a really important part of your syllabus because it is also part of your POE. Before we launch into it, Kevin, I wanted to ask, is there anything you want to ask me? Any questions, any concerns that you have before we carry on? Okay, perfect. So what I want to focus on tonight, I have sent you a wonderful video, only this morning though, so I don't know if you've had a minute to view it. I didn't want to send you anything last week while you were still submitting your part one. So I've just sent you a wonderful video on the pricing strategies, and also I have loaded onto Learn under videos, under more resources, a few other pricing videos for you. But the video that I've actually emailed you as well is the one that you really need to concentrate on for your POE. So I'm going to gloss over a couple of areas of pricing tonight and focus on the elements that you need for your POE. But just we know, I just wanted to show you where pricing is and where we are in our course content and module. So we know that the marketing mix consists of the 4 Ps, and our last session that we had, we looked at product decisions. We looked at the types of products, we looked at product lines, we looked at quite a few things relating to product, and that is the first P of the marketing mix that we've covered. What we're going to focus on today are those key elements of price, which is another element of the marketing mix. And after this session, we will go on to place or distribution and promotion. But I just wanted to show you how it all fits into our syllabus as well. And price is a critical element of the marketing mix because one of its key factors is that it is the easiest marketing mix variable to change. You can change prices quite quickly. So one day a pizza at Checkers can be 45 Rand, and the next day a pizza at Checkers can be 55 Rand. So pricing is a critical element of the marketing mix, and it's also a very flexible element of the marketing mix. It's much more difficult to change your product, what it is and how it works, all your promotional material and your distribution compared to your price. So I just wanted to make that point in the beginning. Why is price so important? Well, we know from being customers that we want value for money. The minute we feel that the costs outweigh the benefits of a product or service, we do not believe that we are getting value. So pricing is a critical element of ensuring that we as the customer get value for the goods and services that we purchase. And getting your pricing right in business ensures long-term business success. We know that, not only from a customer perspective, from a business perspective. We also know that too high or too low pricing of products and services reduces your profitability. And when we say too low, that sounds quite strange, because surely the lower the price, the better it is for us. But because remember what marketing is all about, brainwashing us, if we perceive a product to be too low priced for the value that we perceive, we might think there's something wrong with it. So remember last session we looked at the Malaware toaster and the Smeg toaster. Suddenly, if the Smeg toaster is being retailed at 400 Rand, we'd think, gosh, but there's so much value in that product, there must be something wrong with it. So remember that toaster had so many more variables of the core product. And so you've got to get your pricing right. And the other very important element of pricing is that if you think about it, price is the only P of the marketing mix to generate income. The rest all actually consume or are costs. So pricing, you get your pricing right, it is how you generate your revenue. Now, we are not going to go through all these elements tonight. The videos that I've sent you, go through each one. You've got videos that go through objectives and all of those steps that are already on your screen. I just want to touch upon some of the elements of price. Now, when we're looking at the concept of price, we look at it from two different perspectives. The consumer, where we want to have value for money, and the business in terms of profit. Now, there's some companies that do not have any control of their business, and that is what we call price takers. These are businesses that are completely, where price is completely out of their hands. I mean, in South Africa would be petrol. The petrol is a given price, and then you get what is called the price maker, and these are companies and businesses that have complete control over price. But price is looked at from two different perspectives, one from the customer perspective and one from the business perspective. Again, why is price so important? Well, it is the flexible part of the marketing mix. It is very strategic in our perceptions of a product, service, or brand, and it really does influence our perceptions. We are prepared to pay a very, very high price for a Mercedes-Benz or a Toyota Prado, etc., because of our perceived value attached with that particular product. So price actually influences our perceptions of certain products and services, and just another element of why pricing is so important. So I'm going to touch very briefly on these elements of factors that affect price, and these are all very, I suppose they're not what's the word, surprises to us, but the price or the size of the market affects price. Price elasticity. Now, you guys will all be doing economics at the moment, so I'm not going to go through price elasticity, but we know that some products are more price sensitive than others. Price is affected by consumer tastes and trends and how we behave. The concept of marginal revenue, which you also learn in economics. Our income of consumers, and we can see how this is changing in South Africa at the moment. If we think about our disposable income, what we have to spend on a monthly basis, this is being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed thanks to inflation and interest rates and all the other prices out there in the market. Pricing is also affected by products that are sold together, such as a coffee machine and its coffee that goes in it, and what we call a substitute product. And a substitute product is something that can be substituted for your particular product or brand. So all these factors influence the pricing of products and services, as do the individual company goals. the marketing goals that a specific company sets for itself, whether they are profit orientated, whether they are sales orientated, whether they are kind of going concern, keeping things going perspective. All these elements affect pricing. This is just a slide to show you as well that certain companies and types of companies have control over price or not. And again, you learn this in economics, whether you are a monopoly and a monopolist type of company is what is called a price maker. They can fix our prices to anything, and we know about that type of company because we have good old Eskom, and they are what we call a monopoly. We also then have what is called monopolistic competition, or competition where it's a market where there are so many different competitors, and this is where these types of competitors actually fix their own prices. So that is what is called a price maker. And then various elements in between. So just to give you a very, very broad perspective of what affects price, there are so many different factors that come into the development of price. Are there any questions or comments before I carry on? Okay, so what I want to focus on now are the pricing strategies that marketers use, specifically for the development and implementation of new products. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad you're still with me. Okay, so part of your POE and your second part 2, is to decide which pricing strategies you need to develop for your particular product and brand that you choose. So listen carefully, and as I said, the video that I've sent you is just fabulous on this. So let's have a look at different types of strategies. Now in the whole, I suppose, module and the way that companies set pricing, the steps 3 and 4 are the putting together proper pricing strategies for their different products. And that's what we're going to look at now. And we're going to go through briefly what we call basic pricing strategies. How do companies actually set prices? What do they do? What are some of the elements internally? So I've shown you a lot of the external factors that affect price, such as consumer taste and income and substitute products. But let's see the different types of strategies that companies use to set their prices. And they're nice and easy and basic. So let's just have a quick look. The first group of strategies here on the left of your screen is what is called a pricing strategy based on cost. So this is all about cost plus something, the cost of producing a product. So if we look at the first type of pricing strategy, sometimes it's what is called cost plus. If your product costs 5 Rand to make, you then add 10 Rand to it, and then your price is 15. So you have just added a particular amount to bring your price up to 15 Rand, because that's what you have decided that you want to make out of that product. Markup pricing is very much the same, except you add a percentage, and then target pricing is very much the same, and it is based on a rate of return. So if you want to make 30% profit, what do I need to add to the cost of that product to get my price? So this first group of basic strategies is taking the cost of producing a particular product, say a 5 Rand pencil, and then adding a amount, a rate of return, or a percentage markup on that product. Very easy, basic. In business, all sorts of systems do this for the company. Companies, I mean, people don't sit and do it themselves, but very well used in the business world. The next type of pricing strategy, basic pricing strategy, is what is called a strategy based on value. And this is a different type of philosophy of pricing. It's not looking internally, it's not looking at your costs and adding on. It is saying, well, what is the market? What is the consumer perceived value? And then we will go from there. So the first one is demand plus pricing. It is to understand how much we are prepared to pay for a product or a service, and then to ensure that we cover the cost, and then to add a particular markup. So it's almost a reverse of cost plus pricing. It is to ensure that the end price to the customer is not too high and you work backwards instead of forwards. Chain markup pricing is very much the same as demand pricing in that it's just adding the supply chain to the particular product to ensure that everybody in your supply chain for your product maintains the same profit. And then what we have what is called price discrimination. And discrimination is a terrible word in South Africa, but in pricing it isn't at all. What this means is that there are different prices for different consumers. So to give you an example, pensioners pay different prices. I know Pick n Pay has a pensioners day. Certain students, that's another type of price discrimination. It's taking different types of customers and applying different prices. It's also taking different or a similar product and changing the price according to demand. So to give you an example, you can go to Mauritius in July cheaper than you can go to Mauritius in December. Why? Because of supply and demand, and that the price changes according to that. So that is an example of price discrimination. And then our third lot of pricing strategies that companies use is what is called competitive pricing. So here, instead of the first part on the left here is looking at cost. The second type of strategy is looking at the customer. The third type of pricing strategy, top right here, is looking at the competition. And here, this is another way that prices are set, is that companies say, well, what is the going rate for a particular product in our business? And that is how the price is set for a product or service. Certain businesses where there is lots of competition, where there's very little differentiation between products and services. If you set your price too high, you are going to price yourself out the market. So you tend to stick with what your competitors are doing. Another competitor-based pricing method is to decide that you will set the price in the particular market for a product, and the others will then follow suit. A company could do this with a very strong brand image, a Coca-Cola, a Nike, an Apple type of company, and they could be, say, the price leaders where their competitors would then follow. And then we have what is called pricing by competitive bidding, and this is mainly for industrial products and services where you actually put in tenders and bid for certain, say, government contracts, etc. So these are the very kind of basic types of pricing strategies that companies use. I want to look at them separately to that and talk about what we call new product pricing strategies. And these are specifically for products that are coming into the market that are new. And that's a big hint for you guys. So when we are looking at new products, we only look at two different types of pricing strategies that are used for marketing. What is called market skimming and what is called marketing penetration. And I'm going to use some examples to show you the difference between these two elements. And I've put them on the same slide so that we can see. So on the left-hand side of the slide, we have what is called a market skimming pricing strategy for a new product that comes into the market. And this is where marketers, and let's use Apple because my goodness, they are the best market skimmers on planet Earth. This is where they bring in a brand new product, a brand new iPhone, a brand new iPad, whatever it may be, and they set that particular product at a very, very high price. And this skimming strategy is very relevant for technical products, new innovations, cars, technologies, anything that is very technical and very high value. So the products are brought into the market at a very high price and then eventually drop. We can see that these prices drop. So the new iPhone that's coming out very, very shortly, the iPhone 15, is a ridiculous price at the that'll come out, and then over time it will drop. That is what is called market skimming. That is where a company is skimming off the market in terms of charging a really, really high price. So Apple is a classic example of that. On the opposite side of the scale and the slide is what we call a market penetration strategy. And this is when new products and services are brought into the market at a lower price, and then that price increases over time. And these products are brought in to try, to taste. There's an example of a pizza. It could be any type of pizza brand, a brand new one, where that particular company wants us to taste the pizza. We then go, oh, we really like that pizza. It's well priced. Your family get hooked on it. And then gradually, sometimes we notice and sometimes we don't, that price gets higher and higher. And these are for services and products that that are new as well. They often foods, services. I don't know. I've gone completely blank of the Krispy Kreme. I don't know if any of you guys are Krispy Kreme fanatics. When they entered the market in South Africa a few years ago, my goodness, you could get a Krispy Kreme donut at a fraction of the price that they are now. And that was a very good example of what we call a market penetration strategy, where something new is coming in and trying to capture market share, trying to take away market from other brands. Skimming, you don't really have to do that. So these are the two very important new product strategies that are used. And I just wanted to show you some examples here and ask you what you think, whether market skimming or market penetration is suitable for each of these products. So if we look at the bottom right, okay, there's the pizza. I've already told you the answer to that. But what about an example of a new type of soap that Lux brings in? I don't know, maybe it's maybe it's completely animal free, or it's got new ingredients or something. What would be the appropriate strategy for a soap? Would it be market penetration or market skimming? Yes, absolutely. Well done. Well done. Because the producers, the company are trying to get us to try this new product. It's not too expensive, and yeah, it's something new. What about there's the new iPad Pro from Apple? Is that market skimming or market penetration? Definitely skimming, yes. High end, high tech. Um, and what will happen? Yes, they really are. And I know because I've just had to buy one for a child. I nearly had a heart attack, actually. So, yes, that is a classic example of skimming. What about, say, a new Toyota Land Cruiser? Is that market penetration or skimming? Definitely skimming, definitely. Same thing, high technology, expensive, innovative cars are, especially at the top end, classic examples of market skimming. And then there's a new airline to South Africa. I don't know if anybody's flown it or knows about it. It's called Lyft. They have come into the market. What would they use? Would they use a penetration or a skimming strategy? Yes, well done. They would. Why? They want us to try them. Not that we're spoiled for choice at the moment, with Kalula and Comair going down and SAA being questionable, but they would bring their price. They would start very low. They would want us to get excited. Yes, we've got a great a new airline, and then gradually over time they will increase that cost. So well done. I just wanted to give you some examples to see where you thought they fitted, and that's absolutely perfect. So only two types of pricing strategies for new products, skimming and penetration, both the opposite of each other. Just briefly wanted to mention some of the other, what we call dynamic pricing strategies as well. And these are very common to all of us. But what we call bidding, which is exchanges over the internet, so bid or buy. We also have what is called volume discount pricing. And this is we see it every day, buy in bulk and save, whether it's 3 for 1 or 4 for 2 or whatever it may be, or if you buy 3 dishwashing liquids together, you get a particular discount. Also, companies use what is called two-part pricing, and actually going back to not Lyft, but let's say Safair as an example, where you would purchase your flight, and then if you want extra luggage or a meal, then you would purchase above. So two-part pricing is a one cost and then adding to that cost. We also use what is called bundle pricing. So when products or services are sold together, a good example of that is DSTV, sadly, where you can't say, okay, I only want the sports channel or I only want this channel. Things are sold together. And we've already chatted about price discrimination. And this is where, as I said, different prices for different people for different times work really, really well. They're just carrying on with our flying theme, business class versus economy. Same plane, same journey, two different prices, two slightly different experiences. And then we have what we call frenzy pricing, and a really good example of this, and thank goodness we don't have it too much in South Africa, is Black Friday, is what is called frenzy pricing. Definitely a big scam in my opinion, but those type of things do happen. I don't know if any of you guys know about those sales that SAF Air have, where you can buy an airline flight for £8. So you have to get into a queue online and then wait there all day. Well, I've tried to do that, and I have yet to buy a flight for £8, but it is a good example of frenzy pricing. So you can see that marketers have quite a lot of scope in terms of how to set their prices. It's a lot more complicated than we think. There are so many variables to take into account, different types of strategies, different types of situations, and different types of products and services for each market. I'm not going to go into the 6 steps of the price setting process, because that's very theoretical and you don't need to know it for your portfolio of evidence. What you do need to know for your portfolio of evidence is the types of pricing that you could potentially relate to your selected product or service. And that's really what I wanted to cover tonight. It's quite nice. It's quite short and sweet tonight, because that's the key learning areas. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? Anything that didn't resonate, or anything that I could explain to you more? Okay, good. Well, thank you. Thank you for that feedback, Kevin. I hope so. You know, when we use examples and chat about it, it does make it a lot easier. And as I say, please, the video that I've sent you is just wonderful. It's about 10 minutes. And honestly, that 10 minutes is more than you need to know for your portfolio of evidence. So between tonight and a 10-minute video, you guys will be so incredibly sorted for this particular part of your POE. So thank you very much. As I say, the marking will start with your POEs very shortly. And yes, good luck with the next section. You know, we're nearly there. In fact, this is the second part. By the next time we meet, we will have covered the information for part 2. So I think, as you guys know from part 1 now, to kind of get started, if you can, start working now so that it isn't all bunched up at the end. And yes, you know that I am an email away. So thank you very much for your time, everybody. I will send you this recording, and enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you very much, and have a fabulous time and evening tonight.